All right. Ready to dive into something we use every day but probably don't think too much about? Google's privacy policy.
You got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're long
Not exactly light reading.
and complex, so we're going to break it down. And by the end, you'll know how Google collects and uses your data, and more importantly, how to manage your own privacy across Google's entire ecosystem.
Exactly. Let's decode what Google's actually doing with all that information we give them.
Yeah, the first thing that jumped out at me was just how much data they collect. It's not just what we search in our browsing history, it's location, app usage, even voice searches.
Yeah, and they're collecting all that whether you're signed in or not.
Really?
Yeah, using things like unique identifiers tied to your browser, your device, or even apps.
So even if I'm browsing incognito, it doesn't matter?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
They still track you.
That's a little unnerving.
Yeah.
I also noticed they collect data from third-party websites that use Google services, like ads and analytics. So if you're on a website that uses, say, Google Analytics, Google can link that activity back to you, even if you never directly use, say, Gmail or search on that site.
So it's all connected.
It is.
Okay, so why are they so obsessed with our data? It can't just be for targeted ads, right?
Well, personalized advertising is a big part of how they make money, but they also say it's to make their services better, develop new products.
Right.
You know, all those personalized recommendations we see all the time.
So how do they justify collecting data on things like, let's say, misspelled search terms? What good is that to them?
Well, they can actually use that to improve search results for everyone
Oh,
by analyzing all those typos and misspellings.
Oh, interesting. So it's like they're learning from our mistakes.
Exactly. They're constantly watching what we do online and trying to improve and personalize our experience.
Which is kind of impressive, but also a little, I don't know, unsettling. Where's the line between personalization and privacy?
That's a great question, and honestly, a tough one.
Right. I mean, how much control do we actually have over all this data they're collecting?
Well, that's what we'll talk about next time when we get into the tools and settings you can use to actually manage your privacy and take back some control.
Okay. Looking forward to that.
Welcome back.
All right. So last time we were talking about how much data Google collects.
Yeah,
And it's a lot.
it is.
So now the question is, how much control do we actually have over it?
Oh, more than you might think.
Really?
Yeah, Google actually gives you quite a few tools
Oh,
to manage your data.
like what? What kind of tools?
So one of the most important is activity controls.
Okay.
And you can actually see the types of activity data that they're keeping about you.
Wow. We can actually see all that.
Yeah.
That's kind of scary.
It can be a little eye-opening,
Right.
but you can decide what you want to do with that information.
Okay. So like what? Can we delete it or?
You can turn off certain types of tracking altogether.
Oh, really?
Yeah, if you don't want them to track, say, your location, you can turn that off.
Interesting.
And for data, you are okay with Google collecting.
Yeah.
You can set it to auto-delete after a certain time.
Wait, what? Auto-delete? How does that work?
So you can choose to have your activity data automatically deleted after 3 months,
Okay.
18 months,
Uh-huh.
or 36 months.
So it's not like you're keeping it forever.
Nope. After that time, it's wiped clean.
That's good to know.
Yeah, and if you're worried about personalized ads, you know, those that seem to follow you everywhere.
Oh, yeah. Those are creepy.
Yeah, well, there's a whole section in your account just for ad settings.
So I can finally get rid of those ads that seem to know what I'm thinking.
Well, you can personalize what kinds of ads you see.
Oh,
You don't want to see ads about, say, healthcare.
right.
You can opt out of those.
Oh, that's good.
You can even opt out of personalized ads entirely.
So we do have some control.
You do.
What else? What other tools should we know about?
So there's this feature called My Activity.
My opinion.
Yeah, and it's basically a timeline of everything you've done on Google.
So they literally keep track of everything.
Pretty much, yeah.
Wow. Okay. And can we do anything with that information?
So you can actually delete specific things from your activity history if you want.
Oh, really?
Yep. Or you can delete your whole history if you want to start fresh.
Nice. Like a clean slate.
Exactly. And you can even download a copy of all your data that Google has.
Download a copy. Why would I want to do that?
Well, first of all, it's your data.
True.
You should be able to see it. You can also use it as a backup.
Okay.
Or if you want to try out a different service.
So I could take it all with me.
Yeah, you're not stuck
That's good.
with Google just because you've been using their stuff for a long time.
Makes me feel a little less trapped.
Yeah, but all these tools are great, but they don't mean much if Google isn't actually protecting our data, right?
That's a good point. What's the point of controlling our data if it's not safe?
Well, that's something we'll look at in the next part. When we talk about these security measures Google has in place.
Yeah, sounds good. Can't wait. Okay, so we've talked about all the data Google collects
Yeah.
and some of the tools we can use to manage it, but it still feels kind of unnerving, right?
It is. It's a lot to think about.
Yeah, like, how do we know they're really protecting all this information?
That's a fair question.
Yeah, like, what's to stop someone from just getting access to all our stuff?
Right. Well, Google does lay out their approach to security in the privacy policy.
Okay, so what do they say?
Well, they start with encryption.
Encryption.
Yeah, it basically scrambles your data, so it's unreadable.
Okay, so no one can just, like, peek into my emails or anything.
Right. It'd be like trying to read a foreign language you don't understand.
Gotcha. What else?
They also use multi-factor authentication.
Multi-factor authentication.
It's not just your password.
Right, right.
You might need a code from your phone or a security key.
Say, like an extra layer of protection.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they also have strict access control.
Access control.
Yeah, not just anyone at Google can access your data.
Okay, so it's not like my search history is just up for grabs.
No, only people who need it for their job can see it.
Okay, that makes sense. But what about, like, hackers? What are they doing to stop those guys?
They have systems that are constantly monitoring for security threats.
So they're always on the lookout.
Yep.
But, I mean, we hear about data breaches all the time. What if Google gets hacked?
Well, no system is perfect.
Right.
But Google's pretty good about responding quickly
And-
when there are security incidents.
And they tell people if their data has been compromised, right?
Yeah, they usually send out notifications and advice on what to do.
Okay, so it sounds like they're taking it seriously.
They are, and that's why it's so important to be informed.
Yeah, knowledge is power, right.
Exactly. The more you know about how your data is collected and used, the better equipped you are to protect your privacy.
This deep dive has definitely been eye-opening,
Yeah, it's a lot to take in.
for sure. But it's also empowering, knowing that we do have some control.
Absolutely.
We've learned about the tools we can use, the settings we can change,
Yeah.
and how to take our data with us if we want.
It's all about making informed choices.
Exactly. Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Google's privacy policy.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And remember, folks, understanding your privacy is the first step to protecting it.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So stay informed, stay curious, and take control of your digital life.